They did. I figured this is a very effective way to try to make sure that it works. We're gonna have to do something. I would have had to do something different, probably a trailer of some type. And towing trailers just in the wintertime and stuff like that in that area. I just didn't want to do it. I thought this was a better way. We're gonna put some rehab stuff on it. We're gonna put our decon stuff on it. First callback guy comes in for fires, he'll take it to a fire. So it'll get a little use, but it's not gonna get ran all the time. So if it works, then down the road, we can figure out what we want to do to replace it, but at least we'll know that the program will work. So.
We need a motion to accept
Going
it.
so accept it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, I'm just not knowing, I don't know if there's anything unique with the Twin Ponds development that is different than what we already have in your service area? Is there something, because you mentioned water source, I think, or something?
Yeah, there's 2 ponds up there that in probably 30 years, we've gone up there 3 or 4 times for calls. And now you're gonna bring in 1,500 people, including kids.
Okay.
To rushing water on Limestone Creek that's all gonna be cleaned out and accessible for people. And these 2 big ponds that they're gonna have a beach at.
Oh, all right,
So
yes.
you now have a much greater risk of something happening than as in the past.
Right, no, you have a whole different kind of safety requirement with the water source and activity. All right, that's what I was thinking it was, but I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
What do we have to do to accept it? And
Did they purchase it yet?
They've agreed to purchase it.
They've
Yeah.
agreed to purchase it, so.
Friday, I get it.
I guess you can, once they purchase it, you'll accept it
So
from the
move.
association.
upon completion of the purchase.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
And the last thing is, with your permission, we've talked about the 3rd ambulance. I have penciled it in with the vendor. I'd like to get some leasing numbers from leasing companies. So for at one of the next meetings, I can have some kind of firm number of what we're gonna have to deal with and try to move my capital plan around to match that. So it will work without having to do anything crazy. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Okay.
I agree.
All for me.
DPW, it's Jane, you want Tyler to talk to us about these items, or you want to, or?
Please. No, I think it'd be better for everybody if Tyler presented.
Okay,
We're gonna start with a hopeful purchase, asking the board's permission to replace our current grapple truck. Truck 50 with a 2025 Freightliner. Talked about it during budget season. Tracy's actually has it on the lot. Almost the identical truck we've had before, just up to date with a Freightliner chassis. Sunder County contract comes in at about 257,000. Just looking for the board's permission to look to purchase that.
it's in the budget. We
So-
already,
In the budget.
yeah,
Yep, I'll move for us to purchase that.
okay.
Second.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry, what doesn't matter. So moved and seconded. Any other discussion about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And I'm also looking for permission to surplus the current grapple truck once we get this one in on arrival and implementation to the fleet.
so motion to surplus the current grapple truck that we have. So moved. Once we have everything in it, running on the new one. Moved,
Second.
second. Moved and seconded, all right, all in favor?
aye.
Next is White Heron Circle up in Signal Hill. We're gonna hopefully mill and reprofile it and then repave the circle. And the entrance off of Route 5, just need permission to contract J&L Profiling. They $5,100 a day. They're also under county contract. And then we'll be working with the town to pave that.
That's just information basically, right? That's coming out of your. It's
51.
5,100 to mill it and reprofile, and then the paving is whatever the paving is, because the town's helping us do that.
How long has that been?
It's over 10 years since it's been paved. The circle itself's been there quite a long time. And just a couple updates. We got our new Bobcat in last Thursday. It was delivered, trained on it. So you'll see that out and about. And the paving on Chapel Street, and Warren Street was completed, except for the micro top that will be put on after Labor Day. All but one block of Chapel. Everything else will be micro.
Can you stop there for a second?
Yep.
A lot of compliments. A lot of people, mostly from the church people.
Yeah.
I ran into some of them coming out of church, were complimenting, you know, how nice it was. I ran into a couple walkers today or yesterday or the day before. They were complimenting.
It took some time.
They said, thank you. They said it was a long time. I said, yeah, but
Those roads haven't really been touched in
nice
17
going.
to 20 years. And last, I just need permission to attend NICOM Public Works Training, October 6th through the 8th. Registration's $525 and the stay is $661.
Just you?
Just me.
About highways. So, where we want to go.
That's it.
It's all about highways, so highway stuff. Motion to
So move.
second, okay. All in favor?
So,
Any other questions for the DPW? Okay, thanks for doing a good job. Both of, not just one. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have we all received a proposal and in response to the board discussing the Ledyard Canal and seeking funding for an engineering type of study. We approached through trustee Casey at Eaton to EDR, who's here with us tonight. So then thank you for putting us together for the village. So in conversations with trustees and things, I know Dan has some questions. I know some people have some questions, but kind of the basic basis of what needs to be decided right now is the idea of moving forward to request the $49,000 that is in here for this type of proposal. I understand that some have some questions about some aspects of this particularly that may not be answered or settled just yet and may or may not warrant discussion until we know if we're going to get the funding for that this particular project. So it's not to say that we don't want to move forward with all the things in here. I don't know that we want to move forward with all the things in here from talking to people, but this is the opportunity for the board to kind of discuss that aspect of things and kind of come to terms about whether we are going to proceed with submitting a proposal. We could not submit a proposal without understanding what the cost of that might be. There's no sense asking for $10,000 if it's going to cost us $50,000 as an example. And there's no sense of asking for $100,000 if it's going to cost us 50. So ADR was a very valuable resource and graciously put this together for us. So we appreciate that. And I just kind of want to open it up to a discussion along that way. I think it's something that we discussed that we kind of agreed to as far as what we were looking for as this subject has been discussed at several board meetings in the past. And I think it's time that we take just this last hard look at proceeding to ask for the funding and to see if that funding is approved. Then we can kind of review what's in here. If there is questions in the meantime, it can be discussed and answered and things more so than maybe what it has been in the past. If people have more questions or things and how we proceed with implementing this particular proposal for that. So Jane, I don't know if you have anything else to say or anybody else at this point. I don't know who wants to go first, but you're all welcome to kind of feed into what I just said and see where we can go. Certainly Pat Heaton is here, like I say, from EDR, so I'm sure he's going to discuss perhaps any specific questions that people might have also in regards to general things about the project, but I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the project as opposed to finding out if we're going to get financing for the project. Let's try and get, each step of the way. I think there's a lot of good in this document and I'm pretty much in agreement with it, just personally, but that doesn't mean that everybody is, or that we all will be once we have more discussions, because we sometimes glean stuff from each other's ideas and inputs, so. So I'll stop talking. Let somebody else talk.
I'll be happy to start. My reaction is that we as a board made a decision that we asked Trustee Cleary to work with EDR in preparing an application to Senator Ryan's office for funding for an engineering management report of some sort. And we now have before us a full proposal from EDR. We all know the quality of services that EDR provides. Thank you for this proposal, but at this stage, I have to receive it as a courtesy proposal that will help us in, I'm assuming this is the first step in our application to Senator Ryan for funding. As the mayor mentioned earlier, this gives us a really strong benchmark for the amount of funding that we can ask for. And this is our resource to support that ask or that request for, I'm assuming we will request $50,000. I'm okay with that. I do think that at least it's my recollection that back the number of weeks ago that we had this discussion, that we were looking for 100% funding of this activity or this report, whatever it ends up being. So that's where I stand. I'm okay with us still moving forward, submitting an application to Senator Ryan's office for 100% funding for an engineering report. As far as the specific tasks, each individual task in EDR's proposal, I'm not prepared to react to any, to react at that detail or that level tonight, because I think it's premature. I'd like to first find out whether we get the funding or not. And then talk about proposals and talk about the details at that time. So that's my thinking for tonight.
I'm going to agree with Jane because I'm in the position, I really don't know where we're going to be at, because one of the things I'm looking at is I need to be in a position where 100% funded, because we don't have the money in our current budget in order to deal with this. It hasn't been there. And it's one of the things I've looked for, try to build reserves for different things along the way, and we limited out where we could go and what I wanted to do. But I'm in a problem where I don't have the reserve set up in order to be able to handle the project if we don't have 100% funding right now. That's my major issue. The other issue is then if we do this and move forward, I have to try to figure out where we're going to go with funding for this on an ongoing basis also. And that's another issue that can be dealt with once we do get 100% funding from the senator's office. We can take a good look at that and move forward, look at the proposals and what's being done with EDR, where we want to go and what goes with that as well. So I think we handle one thing at a time, just as Jane suggests. We basically look at it and say, we want to put in an application to Senator Ryan in order for this to go with these numbers, give us an idea of where we are so we can deal with it positively. And be in the position, if we can get 100% funding from Senator Ryan, then we can look at it whether we should go forward or not and do it at that point in time. Because we don't make a decision just to go and do everything through the whole project at this early stage in the game that we're working with normally. So we need to move forward. So that's what I would like to do. I would like us to put the application forward to Senator Ryan, but be in the position where we know that we need to have 100% funding, because we don't really have funds in our budget at this point in time. This has been a rough year for budgets.
So
And I anticipate next year is going to be a tough year too.
Okay, so I just have a question because Pat's here and he prepared all this for us and
Sure.
things like that. It's my understanding that what's in your proposal would be 100% funded by the amount of money that you have listed in here. Is that a fair assessment? Like that,
This scope of service, yeah.
that for this,
That's our
for this
estimate.
particular scope of
Correct.
services, that would
May
be.
I address that question?
And also, I just have one more little comment that because I want to kind of clear the air and kind of clarify some of this stuff. That's all.
Sure.
To answer my trustees' questions about funding it in its entirety. So if we get, say, $50,000 as the grant, which we're hoping to do and been wanting to go forward with that application. If upon further revisions or thinking about this, if everything in here ended up, in your opinion, going to be more expensive, then we would just have to address those types of things to stay within the parameters of what money we do have. Is that a fair assessment to say it that way, or not
I think-
necessarily?
I'm not sure all the details of the funding source you're seeking. I believe
Right.
it's a maybe badging oriented.
Right, yeah,
But I
it's-
mean, you would have funds and a defined scope of work.
Right,
So that is what it is.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's fine, just wanted to kind of clear there on some.
I mean, and regardless of if we implemented that scope of work or someone else did, you would have a grant to accomplish this
Right.
scope of work. As the
Right.
basis for that grant.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any.
So there isn't any kind of question about the 100% financing.
Right.
I'd like to get some clarification on what Pat just said. I'm still interested in getting funding for an engineering report, and there are other specific tasks identified in the proposal that are in addition to an engineering report. Whether we've had no discussion as a board whether we want to do those additional tasks. So that's why I've called this proposal a courtesy proposal. And if the letter application goes to Senator Ryan's office, I would like it to be specific to an engineering report, with this proposal being a resource as to what that could cost, and that why we're asking for $50,000. This is the proposal supports our financial request. I'll be specific in saying that I am not sure that I would want us as a village to undertake task 5. So if our letter application has to be very specific to this proposal, then I need to think, I need more time to take that into consideration.
Trustee Casey.
From the very beginning, discussing this project, it has always been on the table that there is not a single penny that has to come to the village to do a study that we would do through Senator Ryan's office. So 100% of the funding for the study, and it has to be a minimum of $50,000, would go to Senator Ryan's office. And just so everyone knows, people who haven't followed it before, that does not obligate us to do anything specific in terms of what that study may say that we should recommend. And if we are not willing to do all the various tasks laid out here, which I found to be really exciting, I think that this information could be very valuable to us. I don't know what you mean by the definition of courtesy proposal and how that affects the state. The state would be looking at this proposal. They would not be looking at anything but this proposal. And there's a number of steps that they will go through from Senator Ryan's office, but we are not committing to doing anything. This study in and of itself will provide us the study. At the end of that study, we will have clear information about maintenance, recommendations, and an offer to work with DPW to understand maintenance. We don't know that there's any condition there that requires any significant expenditure, but maintenance is our responsibility. I have also said that knowing that, I think that this study will be a perfect would be the information that we would need to write a significant proposal to address some of that, because it is the maintenance. It needs a great deal of maintenance, and we don't know how to do all of that ourselves. But we are not generalists, we are not specialists, and this information would help us beyond whether we go for any further and seek another dollar. It would still give us a complete understanding of the state of the canal, all along the canal. We don't have that information right now. And I have not been able to obtain any kind of written maintenance plan. I've been told the verbal maintenance plan. I'm not gonna address that. And just so everyone else knows, this was given to the board a couple of weeks ago. And there has been a number of discussions back and forth that clarified some of these issues. Or at least I thought they did, and I had asked to have all of the questions in time for me to ask Mr. Heaton, and it was very nice of him to come, because they've been very clear that in terms of line items, I am not aware of any of us having the expertise to go through specific line items. The expertise that this team has brought to it to identify what that work should be is exceptional. And I did hear that from board members in their email replies to me. So Jane, to go back to where I started, can you explain what you see the difference between submitting this and a courtesy proposal that we would submit to the state?
No, when I use the word courtesy proposal, it's my term. It is not an industry term. And it's meant to reflect that I have not, as a trustee, approved us to move forward to do all of the work identified under this proposal.
Right, because tonight
That's
is,
why
we're gonna vote on it. So,
excuse me?
so since tonight is the night that I thought we were going to be voting on whether or not to submit this proposal to the senator, that does not cost the villages a penny, costs all of us state taxpayers money to preserve and maintain the canal. That is the subject of this study for anyone who else here who does not know that. What do we need to preserve it? What do we need to maintain it? These are two straightforward pieces of work, as far as I know. I would like to address Jane's question about task 5. So again, for everyone who is listening, task 5 was addressed in this. Task 5 is EDR has recommended that, has said that they would do the work to get the canal on the National Register of Historic Places. And I would like to just read EDR's statement about this so everyone can understand. EDR strongly recommends that the village pursue I'll just use the initials, National Register of Historic Places, NRHP, listing for the Ledyard Canal. This action is consistent with the village's comprehensive plan and would benefit future grant funding proposals / requests to support rehabilitation and or repair, preservation and or interpretation of the canal. And they identify 2 different funding agencies that could potentially do this, that we could seek funding from: Preservation League of New York and the New York State Historic Preservation Office for certified local government grants. NRHP listing would also help to protect the canal in the event of future environmental review for projects on adjacent properties. It is worth noting that NRHP listing does not restrict the village with regards to future disposition of the property. And there have been some other information. Mike asked some questions about that. I have said that in order to get funding for any preservation activities or maintenance activities, something like this proposal is what I would need as a grant writer. And I told Dan today, and whether I'm on this board or not, I will write the grants if we have good content for me to write. I am an accomplished grant writer and I work in many different content areas, but I need to work with experts in content in order to do something like get state funds or funds from Preservation League of New York. So this type of, it's similar, very similar to what we're doing with trees. We have the information from our tree inventory and our comprehensive management plan. And from that, we are now very well positioned to respond to an RFP that we're expecting this fall. In addition, part of that is because of the connections that we make in the process of doing that work, and that this would be very much the same. So, Mike, if you would like to, you had questions about the historic designation. Would you like to address that, or would you like Pat to address it?
Either way, I mean, I have the email you sent, so whatever you want, if you can say it shorter than this, that's fine. I mean, so basically, my question was, if we seek designation, will it obligate the village to certain types of repairs, certain types of things that might be cost prohibitive for the village to do? Most of what we're looking at as far as maintenance and or preservation is probably beyond, above and beyond, because obviously we don't have it in our budget currently. So it's above and beyond anything that we've actually budgeted for. This designation, according to Pat, would help us in some of those applications for funding sources to do that. And he can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I read this is I was concerned that, I'll use an example of something different outside of the canal. But if I have a historic house and I have a wood front door that's got carving on it and things like that, and I have to replace that door, but today's world, I could buy a duplicate looking door, but it's not going to be a wood, it's not going to be hand carved, it's not going to be this or that. The same perhaps with the canal. My concern was, if we have this designation, do we only fix it the way it would have originally been made or fixed? And what I'm reading from Pat's response is the idea that we could suggest replacing it with that man-made door now outside of being hand carved, and put forth a case where we could get that approved or get that funded by doing duplicate work, but doing it under modern techniques and engineering types of things of today. That's what I was reading in your response. If there's more to that, then you can.
Yeah, a national register listing unto itself doesn't obligate you to do anything or restrict you from doing anything. When you apply for money, it will come with conditions that you implement what you're proposing to do in a certain way, using certain kinds of materials. So in that sense, yes, if you were requesting money from the New York State Historic Preservation Office, it would come with rules. But as far as the village doing what it wants, it's the same thing with the historic properties here in the village now. The local Historic Preservation Commission is the one that reviews replacing doors and windows and other things, not the state or the National Park Service or anybody else. So it's not that that National Register listing is really just a carrot and an accolade for the village to use to get further support. That's really all that it does. It doesn't, there's no National Register police that come along with that listing.
So that funding source could actually have the kinds of limitations that we're really looking at. It could be a possibility.
Depending on what grants you were pursuing, it could. Yeah.
Because I looked at it very positively from the fact of looking for the grants, but also nothing is free in this world. I understand that. I work with it all the time. I work with the Historic Preservation Board and everything, know that what's going on. And so being in a position where we aren't 100% authentic many times is the question. And what can we do that simulates it, or it comes very close to it, so that we're staying the same time period, et cetera, to do things. And we looking particularly with construction is very different today, as you know, in order to be able to deal with that in the canal kind of scenario too.
Yeah.
So that's why and I have concerns with budget, particularly because this is a village owned property, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
A simple question.
sure.
So this proposal is just a study, right? We're not obligated to take any actions.
No.
It's just for information, just a study.
It's a
Right.
proposal.
It's a proposal to do a study.
Okay.
Bottom line is, it's a proposal to do a study. What we do with that study will be up to the village, up to the village financial ability to do certain things for that.
No obligation beyond.
And there might be some things that are no financial obligation. There's certain areas of the canal currently that are utilized by the public. That may be, if that's detrimental to what is existing in those certain areas, we may shut that down or whatever. That's a no cost thing. I'm not saying that's what we have to do, but that might be something that's recommended to do. Certain cleanouts and stuff like that, the DPW has done in the past. The DPW doesn't have the ability to clean out the whole canal from beginning to end, nor will they ever have that ability. That would be something we would need to fund and pay for and stuff like that. if there's breaches in the canal, if there's other maintenance issues that we have to do that we're not even aware of, that's what this study is supposed to kind of give us a guideline, just like the trees, so that we had the tree inventory done, then we had a tree management plan done. Tree management plan tells us that we should spend, I'll just take numbers out of the air because I don't remember, $300,000 a year in
Yeah.
5 years, whatever it was
It was
to,
way beyond anything. we could
well,
ever do.
whatever, but I mean, I'm just using it as an example. Whatever the number is, but it's beyond what we could actually ever afford to do without getting outside sources. And even with outside sources, we're not going to fund what the tree plan calls for. We probably won't hear, but it will give us that information that we need as to how to proceed. And if there are things that are more significantly at risk at the moment, we can address those items first and then move on. We haven't heard from
I
Dan
know,
yet,
I wanna
and I
hear
know
from
we
Dan.
gotta cut,
We gotta move.
gotta keep moving along with the meeting, but.
Well, I've got a lot of things. and
Okay,
I
well,
mean, you-
I
you
wanna
want-
hear.
You wanna move? Go ahead, finish yours.
No, I'm done. I just wanted to say that we need to,
Well, First of all, I'd like to thank Senator Ryan's representative who's been here and sat through these meetings with us and you know, for Senator Ryan looking to put the proposal through. A proposal that at some point will be a study. I'd like to thank EDR for drawing up the proposal. But basically, everyone at this table, and I guess everyone in the village, has the same idea. We want to work together and go forward and create and I'm gonna call it an item. The canal is not necessarily an item, but something that we're proud of and so on and so forth. I'm proud of the canal or the dike, whatever it is, right now, but I have questions in the proposal, and my question is this. If we say yes, we're gonna submit the proposal to Senator Ryan, he's then gonna submit it to New York State. If anything gets changed when it comes back and they say, okay, go ahead, if there's anything in the proposal that gets changed, is it legal?
I gotta interject here. I don't think you guys have enough. This is going through DASNY. You're submitting, they're going to look at it. Senator Ryan is moving it up. He's basically
Right.
looking at that and once it goes, it just becomes paperwork for my office to handle. We'll have a study in the toolbox. It's like a manual for how to take care of that canal. That's it. We're not doing the work. We're not doing anything. They're not gonna change anything. There's not anything. Well, they're not gonna say, yeah, you're gonna have to do 5. They're gonna have to get that done right away. It's just, you don't, it's not really going, it's not like the grant that, trustee Rice submitted for DOS with criteria and points and things like that. It's a totally different type of grant that you're going after. And it is just simply for a study that's gonna give you information that you can handle as you go along to maintain the canal. I
So,
think it's pretty much, there's a no losing here. It's no cost. It's something you'll have, like I said, it's a how-to manual that will be created specifically for our canal.
but there are things in the proposal that
It's what proposal? And it's a study.
the thing.
They're gonna study certain
No,
what to do. They're not.
Lori, I'm gonna interject here. The proposal is the item that EDR prepared, that trustee Cleary presented to us. That's the proposal. The proposal is to generate a study. I think what Dan is asking is if we agree to submit EDR's proposal through Senator Ryan's office to DASNY, and we are awarded 100% funding, can we then look at that proposal and change things? Can we then look at that proposal and say, we don't actually want to do task 5?
I guess I'm misunderstanding because you're getting a study. It doesn't, when you have the study, that's not gonna say you're doing tasks 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? It's just a study of different things to maintain the canal.
But the study gets accomplished by a consultant who works with the village. And the funding gets administered through the village, correct?
Isn't the study funded? It's just, we're funding the study, right? This grant is to pay for the cost of the study only.
And I just want to get everybody clear. Senator Ryan is not going to say this, oh yes, I'm going to pass this on. Senator Ryan's staff, we have to pass through their criteria. So, you know, this is one of many steps. It has to go to the Dormitory Authority and State Finance Committee if Senator Ryan chooses to put it forward. So I don't want to have anyone have the idea. And Senator Ryan's staff person is not here specific to this proposal. He's here like he goes to other meetings. He's been coming before this proposal too. The staff that I've been working for are different. It's not this staff person. So I've been in continuous communication all for many, many months now with Ryan Kostiak. We call him Ryan K. And he is the grants administrator for Senator's office. So he is the one that has provided you all with information in the past about those specific organizations that have to review this and their criteria. So I just want to make that because again, there are people in the room who haven't followed this for months, like many of us.
Well, I guess, I don't know which way to turn. For example, I see things in here that have already been done. But yet they're listed in here as something that will be
You
done.
give
That's
us an
why I'm
example.
saying, if there's anything that is in here that we eliminate, does that hurt any money going back and forth? Thank you.
The minimum request for Senator Ryan's office is $50,000 in the lane that we would be that this would go through. So if you want to eliminate things, we are eliminating, and Ryan, Dylan, if I'm saying anything incorrect, please let me know. We eliminate it, then we're not eligible to submit. Is that what you understand too, or?
I'm sorry, say it again.
If we eliminate line items that take this below
Well, the $50,000,
50,000,
that is my understanding on how
Yeah,
the desk
that's-
works, but
that
I
is-
could be wrong. Ryan is again the expert. So,
yes.
I responded just a couple of these concerns. One is, I have to confess, I wasn't aware of $50,000 price limit or floor, so it's perhaps coincidental that our proposal came out pretty close to that, so
Right.
that's just one item, but you know, as far as the National Register of Historic Places nomination or any other specific task in this proposal, our understanding was that the village was looking to prepare a study that combined a historic preservation focus or agenda for the canal with practical maintenance recommendations, you know, for the long-term kind of upkeep of the canal. So this was, you know, talking to some of my colleagues, some of them spoke to members of the Landmark Preservation Board at a conference earlier this year. This is what we came up with, is what we thought was the best steps to get the village to have a robust plan, taking into account the historic preservation standards so that there is that preservation consideration, but also working with the DPW to make sure that any of the recommendations we put in place were achievable within the village's capabilities. We don't want to be recommending some set of measures that no one could actually ever accomplish. There's no point in that. So that's how we came up with these tasks and these particular deliverables, was we thought this got you guys to what we understood kind of the overall. But, you know, this isn't the only perhaps set of tasks you could come up with to get there. This was just sort of our best ability to break that up into like a series of steps to get you there.
Mhm.
So that's how we approach this proposal, just to clarify.
I have a question for Trustee Cleary. Thank you, Pat, for that explanation. Are, I was always under the impression, I'm befuddled too. I'm just kind of feeling befuddled over here. I thought we were just talking about submitting an application to Senator Ryan's office for some funding. But now we're talking about a very detailed, very specific proposal, and I don't really even know how we got here. Are we following a detailed set of recommendations that you are aware of from Senator Ryan's office? Is that something you're following? I'm clueless on this one.
I was given the information from Senator Ryan's office that I got from Ryan Kay about funding streams. So it's in our email. I could dig it out of my file, but we are under some time pressure here tonight. In terms of being befuddled, I'm befuddled that you're befuddled because this again is this is what experts have helped us to understand without any knowledge about what the minimum
Yeah.
grant would be of what needs to be done for these specific tasks. Jane,
All
you
right.
made, excuse me, you made the motion that I should pursue this with EDR, which I did. I was not given
Yes.
any specific instructions about whatever criteria you're looking for in this study. So I relied on the expertise. Excuse me, it's so hard for me to talk, to hear two things at once. So all we are doing again is trying to get this proposal with these recommendations for tasks that you thought was very thorough, that Mark thought was excellent, that I thought was amazing. And I am really unclear about what other thing it might be if it's not this. If we're talking about the Ledyard Canal, I, as an elected official here, feel a very strong commitment to the fact that we should be preserving this and maintaining it better than we do. That could be, that's another discussion that we need to have, because this getting through the state takes, just to say, yes, you can do the study will take a year. And then after that, they have to do the study. So then I don't know their timeline, because it will matter when we get the other, but they're going to need a substantial amount of time to do the things that they've talked about, things that we cannot see from just by looking at it. We have no idea what the condition of the canal is. We could find out it's great. But we do know that there are trees growing in it, a lot of trees growing in it, trees laying on it. So we're not doing that because we can't. So I'm thinking 3 to 5 years down the road when I talk about what we might start to do for the canal in terms of grant cycles and getting that grant there. If there is something else that any member of the board believes needs to be done in terms of preserving or maintaining the canal, please let me know, as I asked you all to give me your comments and your questions. And I asked for them to be in writing. And I asked, the only questions that I got that I couldn't answer were Mike's. So I'm befuddled.
So I just asked Gloria a question, because we've been involved in submitting for these things in the past. So has it been our experience that we can submit, and you may be able to answer this too, but can we submit the idea of and the proposed project of an engineering study for the Ledyard Canal with support of documents of other entities that prove, for their historic values and things like that, without submitting a specific plan until it gets through that part of the process? We have an idea of what the cost is going to be because we have this specific plan. Do you know if we are,
In the
should we be able to
past,
find out
We
this?
have never had that detailed of a submission. I am under the understanding that the submittals to the senators or assemblyman's office, that process has changed. I'm thinking it has, just based on
The organization's changed.
the organization. It's
There
always been
was-
DASNY.
I think it was the Senate Finance Committee name changed.
Oh, okay, so they used to be under SAM grants, they call them, state aid to municipality.
Yes.
I gather they think that has changed, correct?
They're no longer anything called a SAM.
Right, so therefore I can't answer, I don't know if they'll allow you just to put through an idea, and we have a lot of projects in this village that are, they were just an idea. That,
That's
that
what
we,
I'm thinking.
that we submitted, we would like to purchase a hybrid car for the codes officer. That was it, you know, we put in for that, there was no big detail. The bridge abutments up in,
Carriage Hill.
Carriage Hill, yes, that was done. We've had the senior center back porch, that was from Senator Mannion's office, that was just an idea. We didn't have architectural plans, it was just, you know, we did have an idea, we got a proposal with the quote would be, and we got that. It's never been that specific. It was just, you know, this is what we would like to do, this is what our rough, you know, estimate is, or what we got for a proposal, and we've submitted it, and then it went from there.
So my question is, do we know that we have to submit something as detailed as this to
Yes,
do that? And
Yes, and
Okay.
just so you know, I said, does the legitimacy of the proposal be enhanced by the attachments? So, and again, I've talked to people about this before. We would include some of the attachments that are listed here that we have done. We have done some fine work that is supportive of this proposal for a study. And we would submit letters of support, which I've also explained multiple times that I will take responsibility for getting. I gave you a list of the ones that I would, and Pat recommended 2 others, so that when the package of these things goes, they have as much information as we can. We will have a very strong proposal with this fine work that has been done here, and in addition to the things that our Historic Preservation Commission has done. So, you know, you can't just say, I'd like $50,000. You have to have a very legitimate proposal that has to pass by multiple different checks. If any other legislator has money for us that you just need to say, we'd like $50,000 to do a preservation and maintenance proposal. You know, I'm not aware of that, maybe someone else in the room.
I was just asking from Lori's standpoint of knowing the history of how things happened before. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to move this conversation forward to a conclusion, not to we belabored it a long time right now, so I want to kind of get to a conclusion as to where we want to go with this in general. I was asking only from that standpoint. I'm not saying I knew the answer because I didn't know the answer, so now I have more of an answer, so that's all good. And everybody else does too, so. So do we have a motion to proceed with this particular proposal? And obtain the rest of the information that we will need, like letters of support, things like that, that we're going to submit a proposal to the senator's office to potentially pass on to DASNY for funding. Because that's the bottom line question, right?
I would just leave the DASNY off the part.
I'm not adding Dasney, Danny.
Well, wherever.
No,
I mean,
no.
whatever.
They're, again, my knowledge, they're just the agency that handles all the paperwork.
Oh,
Grants
okay. Oh,
to make sure you jump through every hoop. They just handle that once it gets to that. Once the finance has said, yep, the money can go there.
Okay. I don't have the wording, but I'd like to make a motion that we, after I gather the supportive materials that are listed here in the proposal, as well as letters of support, we take what EDR has proposed and we submit that package of materials to Senator Ryan's office. Do I have a second?
There's a second. So we continue to work on this project.
What do you want me to do?
I'm asking the board in general, not just you in particular.
I think we have to flesh out some things for ourselves as a village to understand where we really want to go with this and understand some additional details as we go along. I think that's really our major concern at this point. I think it's important for us to do that. I have budgetary concerns in my mind. I have things I'm looking at. I need to know the details where we're gonna go and what we're committing to. Because right now, for the next few years, my budget is something that's going to be a real stress for our community, and it's one of those things I am taking very seriously. It's one of the things that I look at, and the uncertainty that our community is seeing right now is really a major impact, and that's important to know. And for us not to recognize that, I don't think is a service to our constituents.
Any remarks, Jane, or no?
I'm sorry, would you say that again, please?
I say any, you want to add to that or say, or?
No, I have real concerns. I'm not ready to vote. I didn't know I was voting on this very specific proposal, and I'm not prepared to do that tonight. I agree with Mark. We have serious budget concerns, and I understand we're seeking 100% funding, but I have other concerns specific. It's not to the quality of the proposal, it's to some of the details I've already mentioned. I'm not going to go through the discussion again. So I am okay continuing some discussions with respect to making an application for some engineering management plan. But I don't know. That's all I have for tonight.
Dan, anything you want to add?
No, I just, I feel bad that because there are many things in the proposal that we all agree we should do, and I certainly don't want to see it get thrown aside. I mean, there's things in there that I think are very beneficial, but I like you go to this page 5 or the note. I like that the note. I was very impressed with that note that was underneath that. The one that Casey read.
Mike?
So I would, given the comments of everyone, I would like to see this go forward in some fashion. So we had a request to submit your concerns. Maybe it was misunderstood as to how you took that request or why you took it the way you did.
Who? Me?
No, other.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm not addressing this at any one person. I'm addressing it to 4 people.
Okay.
So, I feel that we do want to make an application. I feel that we should make an application to see if it's approved and get 100% financing for the engineering maintenance type of study that we are looking at. Perhaps when you read this, any of you, myself included, perhaps, so I'm not judging, I'm not saying this is a true statement, but this is an opinion, which is worth only that as an opinion, that there are things within this proposal that you liked, and there's things that I'm hearing that you didn't necessarily like 100%. So in order to move this forward, we need to come to an agreement and come to terms with this. The only way we're going to do that is if you can share the things that you like about this and the things that you don't want to see within some kind of a plan like this. And if there are some revisions, perhaps EDR is willing to work with us on that, and we can come back with something that's formulated for something to move forward. I'm getting the impression that people did not understand perhaps that we were voting on this particular proposal going to the senator's office. How that came about, I'm not going to guess or try to understand, but I think that before our meeting in September, we have a couple of weeks. I would like to see about everyone's comments of the things that, yes, this is 100% fine. No, we'd like to see this, or if there's something that's not in here, that we get that together within the next week. So that in our first meeting of September, which I believe is September 6th, 8th, well, okay, we would have met 2 days early, but we have the ability to move forward with this kind of a request. I think it's important. It's completely going to be funded by our request. It's not going to take money out of our budget or concerns that way. And the maintenance and the implementation of it is then something that we have the ability to work with going forward. to look for grants, to look for other sources of funding, to give direction to people and things like that.
So, we are going to have a process. I've been in charge of this process. I've asked for questions, I've had responses, and you're saying that I need to do a different process than what I've been doing?
I don't think you need to do a different process. I think that now that everyone understands what I just heard everyone say, they need to put together their ideas in writing and send them to you and have, then we can kind of pool those resources and see where there's certain things that everybody's gonna be in 100% agreement on. And there's gonna be some things that what I'm hearing, people are not necessarily 100% in agreement on. Those are the things that we have to then take a look at. Are those things, do we need to talk those through? Do we need to figure that out? Are we gonna incorporate them by a discussion? And I want that discussion to happen sooner than later because we've been pushing this off for quite a while already.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to wait till the next meeting to come back and say, this is what we should do or what we might want to do or how we might want to do it. Let's come to terms with what we really want. Let's see what it's going to cost. Let's see if EDR will repurpose this document to where, those concerns. Perhaps there's something that somebody is thinking about that's not in here as part of this proposal. And if that's the case, something could be added, something could be adjusted. And we get to a document that everybody's going to agree on and that we can put forth as a proposal. So I would ask that everyone get to Trustee Casey within the next week, a week from today, any other comments about this proposal that they like, that they don't like. And if you don't like anything, you don't like anything. If you like some of it, you like some of it. But let's try and work together through this process and understand it a little better. I was under the impression that we were asking kind of like the older system, perhaps, that we had to come up with an idea of what the cost is. Like I said initially, if it costs 20,000 and we ask for 100,000, that's not looking good for the village. If it's the reverse, it's not looking good for the village. This gave us a most accurate, that's why I asked Pat at the beginning, accurate cost of where we were going and what we were asking for and why we were asking for it. So let's revise the document to what we all agree on so that we can move forward at the next meeting and get this submitted.
So everyone will have written comment. I would like things through my computer, please.
And email.
Please, written. And everyone's given a 1 week timeline to do that. Then I understand from that, I will feed it back to the group, what we have. There may be redundancies or we just share it all. But I would like everything to come to me in that week and then I will then take that. So then do we need a discussion before we come to the next September meeting? Because
I'm thinking if they get
going into the next budget cycle.
right, what I'm thinking is if everybody gave you, this is my theory, whether it's gonna work or not, I don't know. But if everybody gave you if they look at this particular plan only and tell you what they like, tell you what they don't like, what they wouldn't want to include if it's not in here, what they want to take out if it's in here, what they agree with, what's in here. And then we kind of pool those resources and kind of come up with a list of things. Okay, this is what the new proposal will look like. These things we're going to leave. These are the things that that you don't want to see in there. And these are the additional things that you might want to see in there. And again, that could be done by email and people can give their opinions in a short period of time so that we can get it to EDR. So we have a final document to work with as we go forward in this process. I'd like to get it accomplished before the next meeting or by the
Okay,
next meeting.
So that will give me a week to process that a little bit. So, okay, that's good. I just want to make one last comment. Somehow, when we talk about my budget, this is our budget. And I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression that I don't care about our budget this year or any future year. And that partly what I'm trying to do is bring in resources. So.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
Thank you for the discussion. Next on the agenda is the Community Development Grant Award, and that's just to say that we were notified that we received a $50,000 grant through Community Development for the HVAC system at the senior center. Warren Street parking. At our last meeting, trustee Kinsella asked us to look at Warren Street.
Yeah, let me just, we could put this off to the next meeting. Everybody got a picture of the street. All it is one block on one side, and my suggestion would be the west side from Genesee to Clinton. No parking, and no parking at the corner of Genesee Route 5 and both sides.
How many feet back from Genesee Street are you looking for there?
Like to Harris's driveway, probably.
Yeah.
So no parking?
Yeah.
On Harris's
Yeah,
side.
yeah, the top, from the top down.
Down to their driveway or beyond that?
It
I
could be-
just need to have some idea what you're talking about. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, it's just no parking here at the corner on that side.
Yeah, because,
On the other side, it would be no parking.
right, I appreciate that. I understand that one very well.
So I wanted to know if any of the board had a chance to look at it. The only reason I put it on the agenda was before we make that decision, I wanted to make sure we notified the neighbors, to make sure that they were aware of what was going on and what we were talking about. So again,
I'll knock on doors only on the side of where I feel that no parking should go.
Has DPW weighed in on these
Are they here?
specific suggestions? Cause I didn't know about these specific suggestions at this moment.
Okay, I'm sorry. They're here for that.
Yeah, we just wanted to quick, so we live on Warren Street, and we've been there for 5 years now, been in the village for 15. And we do have a lot of concerns on Warren Street with the traffic. It is very challenging when there's parking on both
both
sides.
sides, right?
It makes it even more hazardous, to navigate that. I don't know if it's something that has been discussed as, all of these offshoots from Genesee Street are very narrow. And whether or not that, it would be considered to do that as possibly as a one-way. We've got the one-way for, Walnut that goes into the neighborhood. Whether you could alternate one that Warren was going like towards Genesee Street. I did check to see like the size of the road. There's only about 12 to 14 inches difference between Walnut and Warren Street as far as the width. So they're pretty narrow streets. So I think anytime you get that, the traffic in going both ways, it's challenging.
And on Warren Street, there are signs at both ends from Warren and Clinton and Warren and Genesee that both say no trucks. And constantly there's a barrage of trucks every single day going up and down that street. And so
Like delivery.
Yeah, big,
trucks.
yeah.
big trucks,
But like, I mean, like,
construction trucks, like.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, big,
Yeah.
big maintenance trucks every single day, back and forth, both ways. And so if there's signs that says no trucks, no one is policing that or doing anything about it, and that really impacts.
But there are some limitations to that no truck sign,
Yeah.
and I don't know what they're off
It's
the top
very-
of my head, but I'll look into it because.
Yeah.
Local deliveries, you can't stop local deliveries, you can't stop certain things, even though it says no trucks, it doesn't mean. I have to check into this, I'm not saying
Right,
I'm
if there was a way, like,
gospel, but
if
I mean,
if you could do it one way, maybe that would cut down on the traffic. I definitely think, I know people hate speed bumps. I know people hate those speed bumps, but it really helps. In terms of slowing down some of the traffic. I mean, you can hear them kind of like they slow down, they get over the hump, and then they just rev right up the hill.
but yeah.
And
Are you on the west side or the,
we're at the top of the hill.
We're on,
So-
yeah,
So Genesee is over here and Clinton's here and we're
We're
up
right
at
on
the
the
top.
corner.
With
Okay.
the big chicken.
Oh,
the-
that's easy to know.
right on the corner.
Yeah, okay, I know, I thought I recognized it, that's why I said to Mike, I thought that's why you were here. Yeah.
So we just wanna, I mean, just to
Yeah.
have those discussions, but I think that having that parking on one side is gonna be a huge help. But comparing the streets that, we've got Walnut that's one way. And I think it's around 23 feet and ours is 24 feet. So as far as width, so it's very similar, very narrow streets as all of these in the village are. As far as considering that as a potential.
Thank you. Casey, you had a question?
Jim might have.
Well, Casey had a question, I thought
Jim
about
might
the.
have.
This thing with the streets, that's all fine and dandy, you put all these signs up. But if you don't enforce them. You know what I mean?
Like the people that go the wrong way on Warren.
Yeah, it's like
Street.
bringing up your kid.
Yeah.
Don't smoke, but you light up. So if you're gonna do this stuff, I think it's great and I agree. But, you got a police force, and you gotta start throw tickets at people. Or, like on Route 5 here, you used to have a cop on a motorcycle. I'll never forget it. One Sunday morning, someone was going to church. You pulled her over at 8 o'clock in the morning. You gave her a ticket. Like Route 5 is crazy, right? And so people get pulled over all the time getting tickets. Because they keep doing it. It's human nature. So that you can put up all the signs you want. But if you don't enforce them, you're wasting paint.
There is a sign right off of Geneseo that has a no parking from here to corner.
Right,
and
right.
People are parked in there all the time.
And you gotta start giving them tickets.
And that's, you come around that corner and there's cars that are there.
That's
and
why,
really-
that's one of the reasons I brought it. I brought it up because someone who lived on Clinton Street that couldn't go the normal, because we were doing construction on the other streets, brought it to me. It wasn't my idea. But we would have welcomed
But you
it.
gotta enforce it. If you're gonna do something, you gotta put some teeth in.
Okay, thank you. I gave you at a meeting, and I forgot to email you, Casey, but I will email you the rules, sorry, from our meeting the other day about the dog park.
Thanks,
So anyways, I gave you copies of dog park rules that I kind of revised a little bit. And I didn't hear from anybody, so I would like you to let me know if you, yeah, thank you for coming. I'd like you to get back to me on what you think of that, if anything. Also, Karen mentioned to me that she had a couple of calls, or at least a call from somebody who has concerns about people utilizing our parks without having their dogs on a leash. Sometimes people get to the cemetery pier, I know, for one place, and some of our parks where they get inside of an area away from the streets and then they take their dogs off their leash. And some people felt, I won't say threatened, but concerned about the fact that dogs were running around. So we may be checking with parks about adding some signage or just putting up some signs, keep your dogs are required to be on a leash, just because that's our laws anyways, or whatever in the village. So that's just information about that. Village policy review I have on here because each year there's 7 policies that we're required to have perhaps, and a few policies that we could have. But the policies that we're required to have as a village are supposed to be reviewed annually. And our annual meeting got moved from the first meeting in April to our first meeting in January. So that's going to be coming up. So over the next few meetings, I'll be working on providing you copies of those policies for input and review. And a review doesn't mean the policies have to be changed, but they have to be looked at and decided that if they're still viable and workable the way they are, or if they do need to be adjusted, that we as a board take a look at that once a year. So that's coming up. Solicitor's permit.
Wait, can I just
Oh, yeah.
say something about that? Lori, we have more than those required and more than we have more policies that are required and recommended. Is that right? That this board over time has adopted probably many policies, or is this the sum total of all of our policies? This list of required and recommended?
No, I think this is the sum total of of the policies. We have the 7 mandatory, and then we have a few of the recommended policies on here. So which would be an additional 5. So yeah.
So this board doesn't have any other.
Additional, I mean, it's not that I think of.
Okay.
Right, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they're all right here. I don't think there's any extra. the state of emergency involving health was the latest one that we had to do during COVID. It was the most recent mandatory policy. So
Thank you. So,
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Next we have a nice mech resolutions for purchasing our electricity and our natural gas.
yes, NISMEC sent this out, and this is going to be, as you'll see in the resolution, it's authorizing our participation in this cooperative energy purchasing service with NISMEC for electricity and for gas. Essentially, we're in a group with many other municipalities and schools where they send it out for bids and get us a better price because we are, it's not for, all of our electric bills, but it's for, this village hall, the fire department, the street lights, I believe the senior center.
I had only one question. What delineates why we use up for certain things and not for others? That was
Size consumption,
gotcha.
because like the other ones are just not enough, usage.
Gotcha.
So, so anyway, this is just that we will be cooperating in, and this would be, May 1st, 2026. But they need this before the end of the month, so they know who will be participating in this. And include us and keep continuing including us in the consortium. So I can read through each one of these if you'd like, all the whereas, where, I mean.
I waived the reading.
Okay.
I agree.
Motion to waive the reading.
Okay.
But it's asking us for a number of who votes yes or no, so we gotta.
So you need
I'm
two
waiting-
proposals in.
Two, because
Well, I'm
one is
waiting
electricity,
And I'm
one
waiting for
is,
Dan,
yep.
because it said who voted yes, who voted no, who abstained, who was absent, so.
Okay,
give
we'll
it a
wait for
minute.
Dan.
I'm back.
Did you have the solicitor's permit? Also?
I do.
Yeah,
I have a solicitor's permit that was submitted for comfort windows and doors. I wanted to like almost sing the jingle when I say that. So they again want like to go offering free estimates on home improvement projects door to door. Everything came, I don't believe anything came back negative. They paid their fee.
Just 3 individuals.
Yep, 3 individuals.
What hours are gonna be on that?
The same as we have, I believe, on Monday. What were you gonna say?
What is it?
There's no soliciting on Sundays and I think, we have it at.
I think it's like 10 to 7 for
During the week.
and on Saturdays.
Originally,
it was 9, you've changed that, right?
9 at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely changed. It's not that.
definitely gonna say 7.
Yeah.
Because in the past, even this year, they've been in the neighborhoods later than 7.
Well, when that happens, you just need to call, I mean,
Yeah.
police respond.
But I
pretty
just
good,
wanna make
so.
sure it's on there as 7, so that when if I do choose to call,
Do you have the sign, no solicitors?
I have one, I don't have it up yet, but I have
Okay.
it the day that,
It works for us. We have one.
yeah, but I don't like when the neighborhood has that, they're, at houses where kids may be home alone, there's older adults in the neighborhood, just in general. Just because they're not coming to my house or I put that up, I don't think it's right, they are in the neighborhood that's all, I'm just asking for 7. 7 is great. That's all.
The next newsletter, maybe we can talk somebody into putting a little blank thing in there that says no solicitor. That's where we got ours. The last time we cut it out and put it up.
Okay, the last time someone was in the neighborhood, they're on one of those, I don't even, hoverboard things. Up and down the streets, I don't,
remember that
that's
one.
no helmet, whatever, it's just crazy.
Agreed.
So anyway, that's the application.
okay, moved by,
I move to accept the solicitor permit for comfort windows.
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we just talked to, you were out about these resolutions to buy our natural gas and our electricity. Okay, so motion for the electric,
I move to accept the cooperative energy purchasing service for natural gas.
for natural gas, okay.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What can I do the next one?
Oh, no, I gotta, would you do a gas? Okay.
Electric,
Gas.
Okay, I move to approve the resolution authorizing participation in cooperative energy purchasing service for electricity.
Second.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, at the next on the agenda is September board meeting and timing. At the beginning of summer, we went to, of course, we only went to one meeting for July and August, and we talked about going to 6 o'clock. I've talked to the different department heads. They still like the idea of a daytime meeting. They also like, Lori mentioned that we do get some people that come to our daytime meetings, a little easier than some of our night meetings. I know we talked about moving them all back to 6 o'clock, but I would like to propose and see what the board feels about having a 1 o'clock meeting on the second, the first meeting of the month, and a 6 o'clock meeting on the second meeting of the month.
As I explained to you, I actually agree with this because it actually allows different group of people access to us that they might not have otherwise. So the people who cannot make it in the evening can make it many times at 1 o'clock, and those who could not make it at 1 o'clock could make it at 6 o'clock. So I happen to think it's probably the best for them. It also works better for the earlier meeting for our
Department
heads.
to come.
And that really is important because many of them are, doing more than they should have to do ordinarily because everyone has pressures on them across the board. So that's my personal opinion.
Again, we have the ability to change these in the future if we find that it's not working for any reason. There was a discussion at one point, I maybe want to be open about everything. There was a discussion that at an election time, people that might want to run for one of these offices, but might have a conflicting personal job or something. And that's why I mentioned the fact that this board can make adjustments to the meeting times. And it's not obligatory that just because we say we're meeting these particular times each month, that it's not available to be changed if the board composition changes, or even if it does, the board composition doesn't change, but just something personal for somebody changes, where we would have to make an adjustment to the times to make it just evening meetings again or something. I mean, we may not always be able to accommodate every single person on the board, but you gotta try to make it work for everybody. So any other thoughts on those times?
Yeah, we didn't see any appreciable difference in attendance having daytime meetings. I do like the 1 o'clock idea better than the 10 o'clock, but I'm concerned about public hearings. My thought is that there are more people available for public hearings in the evening than in the daytime. And that if you have any kind of a day job, you would be prohibited, it would be a barrier for you to attend a public hearing. So, what do you guys think about that?
My only comment is that with any type of public hearing, people do have the ability, and now with the communications of emails, writing a letter, expressing themselves that way, that's an availability to them. I would have to look back on our meetings to see if there were public hearings held at those particular early meetings or whatever. I don't recall a lot of them. I understand your point, and at budget time, for an example, when we had something that was very important to what we thought was all the village, we did have the public hearing held open from a morning meeting to a night meeting, so that we did perhaps accommodate more people, even if more people didn't come to the meetings. We offered that ability for people to choose the time that they were able to come. So I don't see it as I understand the concerns, and I guess
if and when there's a public hearing, it doesn't necessarily come up as often as some other things, you could schedule it accordingly, or an evening.
Right,
Or if
or-
it necessitates changing the time to accommodate.
right, depending on what the public hearing is consisting of or
I can
whatever. I
appreciate the
mean,
question, but it certainly can be,
addressed or
accommodation
whatever.
can be made when needed.
I don't like the idea of, I don't want to lock that in stone. That we're gonna meet at 1 o'clock on the first of each month. I know it's difficult. There's something not good for the notices, putting notices up, changing it here, changing it there. People like consistency as opposed to inconsistency, which is change. I don't personally like it. I like evening meetings. 1 o'clock is fine for the if it's for the fire chief, the secretaries, everybody, the DPW. I'm not. I'll go along with let's try it. for a month or
It's
two.
just good to bounce back and forth. My opinion is, I mean, I think part of the annual meeting is you set your meeting dates and the time, or your meeting dates
Right.
and time in the I don't want to bounce back and forth again. I think it's confusing for people. I mean, it's
Right.
great if you pick one, if you stay with 6 on both the meetings, fine. If you want to do one at 6, one at the earlier time of day, depending, that's fine. But I do think you need to like settle, without try it for a while and
Yeah,
go
but-
back and forth. I'm just saying, I just think we need
Right, I
to, our
agree with that
annual, we have
statement
to
or
like
whatever.
set our meeting dates. That's, like I said, it's part of the thing.
I just said consistency, you know, kind of once,
Great.
but if we find out we have a 1 o'clock meeting and we get nobody.
I'm not in favor of the 1 o'clock either. I understand our intention to try to change our meeting times so we can afford accessibility to others who for reasons are able to meet in the morning. I don't know how we make these choices but 1 o'clock just feels random to me, but I guess that's no more random than 11. And I am in Danny's camp about consistency. I think we just need to pick a time that is consistently adhered to month by month, and folks will find a way to have access to the information that we provide. You know, they can participate virtually. There are a lot of different avenues. So I guess I'm in favor of staying at 6 o'clock for both meetings.
Want to go earlier?
Well, I mean, I was only taking into consideration our department heads that we ask a lot of and have limited staffs that have to come in, after hours, basically, for a meeting at 6 o'clock. So I hear two things and I'm confused by the two things that I'm hearing. So consistency, I 100% agree with. If we pick a time, that's the time we should continue to meet, no matter what is going on, basically, unless we have to adjust like by an hour for like a different meeting or something like that. But consistency could be 1 and 6, or it could be 6 and 6. I don't have a personal preference one way or the other. For me, I was more or less pulled the department heads in the idea and the facts that they would have to, for their sake and for the sake that the board has been available during the day for a meeting, that we can try this. So I guess it's my suggestion that we would try, we have to set our times at the annual meeting, which is going to be the first meeting in January. So maybe we look at more realistically and maybe keep track better than what we did with the 11 o'clock timeframe of doing a meeting at 1 o'clock and a meeting at 6 o'clock until December comes along. And then at the annual meeting, that gives us a little time to kind of regroup and think about this. There isn't an election this year for any of our positions. And like I said, if someone's personal situation changes, that they can't make a certain meeting or a certain time more consistently because of something going on, we certainly would readdress it for even one of us, not even a majority of us, to look at that. So I would suggest that maybe we look at the 1 and 6 o'clock time from now until December 31st or whatever. And then at our annual meeting, between now and then, make the decision going forward, so that our annual meeting, we will set the meeting at whatever time we agree to, be it 6 o'clock, be it 2 different times, be it whatever. Anybody have thoughts on that?
Is that a motion?
Yes, maybe, if you want us to be, if you want to get this meeting over with, I'll make that as a motion.
I think 6 o'clock is the way to go and to stay. So I hear the arguments and I really, respect everyone's arguments, but personally, I'm not gonna vote in favor of the 1 and 6.
Okay.
Just so you know in advance.
Okay. No, I know you can't vote. So 6 o'clock it is, everyone? That's what I'm hearing
no,
from, well, I'm hearing it from Jane, I heard from you. What do you, Dan, on 6?
2:30.
I mean, I like the ones that we had.
Fine, I'll
before.
just let the department heads.
Every once in a while, we had, every once in a while, we had the,
Oh,
once in a while, we had the 3 o'clock one. I like that.
all right,
Right,
Well-
so the
Well,
vote
we will have to change the September eighth board meeting time.
Till at least 5 o'clock.
Yes, because there's a conflict.
all right,
Well,
Planning board is meeting that night.
all right, so September 8th. Motion to me, we have to have a motion to meet at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. Anybody gonna move that?
Anybody second?
I'll move it.
Second,
All right, all in favor?
Right.
aye.
And then going forward from there, I'm hearing from the majority that 6 o'clock is the time to have a meeting consistently every month, twice a month, as we do. So I don't know that we need a motion to do that. I think that's just going back to what we've been doing and probably what was approved at the last annual meeting that we had.
You.
Okay.
But
Well, yeah, on September eighth, he'd be here at 1 and then back out here again at 7.
So, all right, that's fine. I just wanted to have a discussion about it. We said we were going to at the end of May when we were moving to our summer meetings. Or June or whatever day it was. Anything from the trustees?
I'll hold.
What,
Okay,
what's that?
anything for the trustees? You had anything to say to us?
Yeah,
Okay.
what about the
6:30.
mural?
The mural, we're waiting to hear back from the county on.
You went with the one, that we voted on that,
What are you talking about?
the mural that was proposed?
Exactly what was agreed upon by majority to send to the county. We
In-
didn't go to
In a
anything.
meeting?
I believe it was on an email vote. We discussed it there.
We
You-
can't,
What's that?
we can't do that.
Yes, we can, and we did, and we have.
No,
So,
we should.
okay,
I-
we have many times.
I will, if it comes out and says,
Voted no. I understand that. You said you didn't, you decided you didn't like it, but as far as it got submitted to the county, to Central New York Arts. That had to push it to the county. You were the only one that said no, Dan.
I understand that, but I don't like to vote on things that are lasting that are gonna last. If we have to have a vote because it's an emergency or something with an email, I go along with it. But this was not any special emergency. I'm very disappointed.
Okay.
I'm disappointed in for 2 reasons. I don't like the idea of it going on the barn after I went up there and sat and looked at it for 15-20 minutes, walked around, looked at it again, and it's a beautiful looking barn now. Before it wasn't a beautiful looking barn, it was dilapidated and so on and so forth. I'm also, it has, as far as I'm concerned, the mural that I saw had nothing to do with the Village of Fayette.
I answered that question in email to Jane Rice, and I'll forward you my written response about that.
There's no connection between what I saw in that.
Okay, well, it's been submitted for approval. Anything else?
And I hope it gets disapproved.
Okay.
Who do I
Thank-
contact?
Call your county legislator or your county, whoever, executive or whoever. I don't know. I mean, it was out there for an email. Everybody agreed to it by email. If you want to vote right now, we can have a vote right now, but it's not gonna. It's not gonna change the outcome of it or whatever. It's
What's the mural gonna look like?
I'll show you a picture afterwards.
Because the one down here that they did isn't authentic anyways,
We're beyond murals at the moment.
you know? I mean, I just.
Anything else?
Oh, Dan.
You guys, I'm done. Are you good?
The only thing I had was about, I wanted.
Oh, right. Karen
permission,
wants to go to a conference.
To attend, the fall, NICOM's fall training school in mid-September, September 15th to the 19th. I don't have the cost handy, I'm sorry.
I move that we send Karen to this very important training. And we will get the cost information.
I believe the total cost was like $540. Wasn't it?
Thereabouts, yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know
it was
more
the
than
typical
600.
workshop
Fine.
cost.
So it doesn't matter the cost. It's not exorbitant and we've always approved those types of things anyway. So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ted, you got anything? Mike, you got anything?
No.
No. If I did,
Anything? You need anything or no?
no, I think I
Then we'll move to
don't at
adjourn.
this point.
Are you moving to adjourn?
I am.
Is it done?
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure.
I didn't know.
Night.
I don't know who moved this.
You're gonna. Mark moved.
Mayor?
Is there a second?
Hey,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
thanks.